Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Good day and welcome to your Daily Detroit. It's Thursday, June 4th, 2020, and my name is Sven Gustafson.
And my name is Jer Stays. It's another busy day for news in Detroit, and we're doing our best to stay on top of things and keep you informed on what's important. We're going to do some stories you should know, plus HopCat is declaring bankruptcy, and a skate park clears a key funding hurdle in Detroit's Chandler Park. But first, the statewide coronavirus case numbers. As things continue to trend in the right direction, there were 307 new cases reported for the day on Tuesday and 17 fatalities. That brings the total number of confirmed cases to more than 58,000 and 5,570 COVID-19 deaths. Protests in Detroit on Wednesday night were peaceful as marchers went from places like the mayor's house to the east side near the Belle Isle Bridge and back into downtown. Police did not enforce the 8 p.m. curfew and provided escorts, and that decision resulted in a better outcome than Tuesday night. On Tuesday, Detroit police did enforce the curfew, and it resulted in 127 arrests, a detainment of a journalist, and more. According to a post on the Facebook page Terrible Illiches, a number of those were taken to Little Caesars Arena for processing. Detroit Police Chief James Craig said he asked to use the facility as a processing center for safety reasons. Although there have been a number of problems, the city of Detroit has not been hit by anywhere near as much violence as other cities in the nation. As we mentioned in a previous episode, protests are happening across the region. Here are a couple that are up ahead. There's a peace march planned to recreate the famous March at Selma at the Belle Isle Bridge on Friday, June 5th from 3 to 6 p.m. The bridge will be closed down. If you're on the island, you'll have to stay. Organizer Ken Snap says that the supporters of the march include former Detroit Lion running back Joeek Bell, and there has been coordination with the Detroit Police Department. The NAACP and city government will be there to provide information on voting and the census. Then, up in Macomb County, there's a march planned for Hall Road on Saturday from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The flyer says marchers will begin near the Golden Corridor signs in Sterling Heights and Shelby Township and proceed east to Macomb Community College's center campus in Clinton Township.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer rescinded 3 executive orders on Wednesday. First up is one that extended the amount of time that a government has to answer a Freedom of Information Act request. That returns to normal on June 11th. This was controversial among journalists and others because it meant long waits to get information about public sector activities. Secondly, is one that had to do with hospital visits. Some of those restrictions have been loosened, so there now can be more visitation within facilities, outpatient clinics, and doctors' offices. Masks and detailed screening procedures must be in place at facilities. Previously, because of the threat of COVID-19, people were only able to virtually visit their hospitalized loved ones. Third is the rollback of an order. It allowed for more flexibility among healthcare staffing and facilities, as well as the ability to issue temporary nursing certificates in the case of an emergency. Meanwhile, up in Oakland County, the Oakland County Health Department has rescinded its order closing outdoor playgrounds and playground equipment. It takes effect on Friday. Further good news after the news about the rescinding of the order closing outdoor pools. Good news for parents among us, I got to say.
New Bureau of Labor Statistics and data compiled by WalletHub paint a grim picture around unemployment in Detroit. The newly adjusted numbers from the government show that we're looking at a 51% adjusted unemployment rate right now in the city, and Detroit is the third most impacted city by COVID-19 as far as unemployment. The only cities hit harder as far as job loss are Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, Nevada. Between auto shutdowns, the casinos shut down, sporting events, and a large service economy that ground to a halt, all thanks to the coronavirus, Detroit's economic engine has been sputtering much more so than the rest of the country. Just recently, the city had been making huge strides around getting the unemployment rate down for residents. WalletHub says that unemployment is more than 450% higher than it was at this time a year ago. It seems like it's a comeback that's stopped in its tracks, at least partially, and it'll be interesting to see how much of it rebounds as restrictions lift. From a city government perspective, taxes on the 3 casinos alone normally generate $600,000 a day for the city's coffers.
We'll say that Detroit's economy seemed sort of soft even before the whole coronavirus thing came online here. And I really worry that this is going to kill outright, in worst case, the so-called recovery that the city had been experiencing. I mean, such that it was. I really hope I'm wrong. And I mean, I think there are some people who think that the coronavirus may actually make it more attractive to live in cities, to have everything close by within walking distance and be able to enjoy blocks that, maybe are closed to vehicle traffic and so forth. But, we'll see. The electric vehicle startup Rivian has let go around 40 people at its design and engineering center in Plymouth at the same time that it's added a new chief operating officer and 5 other executives. A spokeswoman said the company remains in growth mode and is healthy. She added, quote, "From time to time, it's important for any performance-focused and fast-growing company to streamline its organization to improve effectiveness," end quote. The job cuts come amid a hiring blitz and billions of dollars in investment in Rivian from companies including Amazon and Ford. Rivian recently pushed back the start of production of its battery electric pickup truck and SUV to 2021 due to the coronavirus. Some of the new executives hired are veterans of Tesla. Rivian is rumored to be working on developing a network of fast charging stations similar to Tesla's superchargers.
Oakland County has its first ever Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. County Executive David Coulter has named Robin Carter Cooper to the role. She is currently serving as the Executive Director of Instructional Equity for Rochester Community Schools. Carter Cooper will oversee a wide-ranging effort to promote diversity and inclusion across the county government and private sector. She starts a new position on July 1st.
The parent company of Michigan-based craft beer restaurant chain HopCat has filed bankruptcy. Barfly Ventures filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in Grand Rapids as part of a planned financial restructuring. The company says it plans to reopen its Michigan HopCat locations on June 13th. But founder Mark Sellers told state lawmakers they can expect to see a, quote, giant wave of bankruptcies coming very, very soon from other restaurants in the state. Barfly operates 13 HopCats in Michigan and 6 other states, with locations in Detroit and Ann Arbor. The Royal Oak location was recently closed.
Yeah, we talked about that in depth with Brenna Hauk. And I see a thread here, Sven, where there's a lot of hopeful business people or hopeful patrons who say, oh, something will come back, or, oh, when there's that hype around like, oh, this is temporary. But I have learned, covering this town for a while, that you don't want to believe that hype, and you don't want to believe something until it actually happens. And this bankruptcy is something that I think kind of is important to note, because these guys are not small. And I wonder if Mark is right, and we've got a lot more of these to come. If you think about it, and this kind of shuffled under the news of coronavirus and everything, but Punch Bowl is gone.
Yep.
A lot of that mid-market stuff. And I really worry about that long-term of this sector, and then the jobs that are surrounded that. And as much as I think some people sometimes kind of cringe about chains or mini chains, a lot of times those are the places that can afford to do things like health benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah, no question. And HopCat, definitely probably fits into that mid-market, category that you're talking about. I was actually surprised to see how many HopCats they opened. I mean, they have expanded pretty quickly. I mean, I think they launched their first restaurant in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, in Grand Rapids, and they're across the Midwest now. They're far as away as Lincoln, Nebraska. They've got a couple in Kentucky. I don't know if that contributed to the bankruptcy filing on Wednesday, but oftentimes expanding too quickly can be a risky thing for businesses.
Well, and I will note here, just so that people are completely clear, this is a restructuring, not a closing. Whereas Punch Bowl looks like it's going to be closed, this is when it's a restructuring. But those restructurings can have a lot of financial impact down the line, because it's about shedding debt, it's about shedding liabilities, contractors don't get paid, all that kind of stuff. Joining Sven next is Trevor Staples. He's the Tony Hawk Foundation Built to Play skate park manager. There's a 12,000 square foot skate park that's coming together as part of a $7.5 million plus public and private investment made in Chandler Park today. Here's that conversation.
All right, Trevor, great news this week for advocates of bringing a 12,000 square foot skate park to Chandler Park on Detroit's east side. Find Your Grind Foundation committed $150,000 to the project. That helps them qualify for a matching grant from the Tony Hawk Foundation and the Robert C. Wilson Jr. Foundation. And there was a deadline here. Can you help kind of sort this out for us and explain how all these puzzle pieces fit together?
Sure. So it was a couple of years ago that the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation noticed from a study that they did with the Aspen Institute on kids and play that kids want to skateboard, but most kids, especially in lower income areas, don't have a place to skate. So in a nutshell, they reached out to Tony Hawk Foundation, developed a series of grants. And so we have built to play skate park grants that are for underserved areas, and the grants are up to $250,000 in matching funds. So potentially paying for half of the skate park, which really increases the likelihood of especially a low income area being able to develop a public skate park.
Mm-hmm. And this essentially more or less gets the project funded or to the finish line here. Is that right?
So the Find Your Grind Foundation adds into the picture, right? Because they stepped up to help out a skate park project, and they really liked the idea of helping a Detroit skate park project and showcasing it and showing the need for the skate park and helping fund it. And so what they're able to do is help the Chandler Park Conservancy get the matching funds available to qualify for the Built to Play grant. So their donation will be matching, and then that brings the project up to the level of being able to be designed and built. So it was a critical grant from Find Your Grind to help out this project to make it happen.
That's awesome. So what specifically will all these funds taken together cover for the skate park? Like, will Tony Hawk Foundation be designing and building the skate park itself, or does that go to somebody else?
Many people think that Tony Hawk Foundation actually designs and builds skate parks, but we don't do that. What we do is, along with offering grants for public skate parks, we offer free technical assistance to make sure that skate parks are designed by professionals and built in a way that makes them successful. And that means making sure that quality builders, experienced builders, and designers are hired. So we don't design the skate parks, we don't build them, and we don't pick who designs and builds them. But we help community members and municipalities down the path to making sure they pick a quality designer builder.
Mm-hmm. And this is really great news. I mean, I think as you guys have pointed out, given the economic crisis that we're all experiencing right now, to get a gift, a donation of this level is really good news, isn't it?
Yeah, we've granted 15 skate park projects throughout Western New York and Southeast Michigan. And yeah, this is crucial, right? Because this summer was when a lot of projects were either going to aim to finish their fundraising or actually start construction. And so things have been set back a little bit. And for a project like Chandler Park, having Find Your Grind step up and come up with a huge donation like this, it would be critical in normal times, but now with COVID-19, it's even more important to help make sure this project happens for, the young people in the community. So it's just great.
Yeah. Tony Hawk Foundation, I know, has been working in partnership with the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation for a couple of years now, I think, on the Built to Play skate park program. How many skate parks now have you guys jointly funded around the Detroit area in Southeast Michigan?
Mm-hmm. So we've granted 15. And so how it works with our grants is we award the grant, and then the municipality or the community advocates have a year to fundraise to get to that $250,000 match, but they could do as low as $50,000 too. So if a smaller community came up with $50,000 in donations or municipal funds, we would match that, and then that could build a decent skate spot. So we have about seven or eight in Michigan. 2 of them have been built already. So Riverside Skate Park was one of our projects. We helped out with that with a Built to Play grant. And Ferndale, Michigan, first week of June is when Ypsilanti Township, the construction on that skate park is going to start. So that's pretty exciting. And then Port Huron will be the next one. which should be starting construction within a couple months here.
Yeah, now we just need the public health conditions to improve enough that cities, open them back up, because I know there's red tape surrounding the entire Ferndale skate park at the time being. But great news nonetheless. Trevor Staples, manager for the Tony Hawk Foundation's Built to Play skate park program. Thanks so much for coming on Daily Detroit.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, one of the issues we've been following with keen interest on this very show has made some progress that will be encouraging to advocates. The ability to order cocktails to go from bars and restaurants was part of a package of bills that passed unanimously out of a Michigan House committee on Wednesday. Other bills in the package would allow local governments to establish social districts where customers could drink alcohol from the establishments outdoors and allow bars and restaurants to add cocktails to the list of items they can deliver to homes. The legislation now goes to the House Ways and Means Committee. Now, again, this is a pretty nerdy update, but it's something that we've been following this story along with Robin Cleveland. He's been on the show a couple times. He's an advocate for this happening. Sven, what do you think about these to-go cocktails and social districts? Because this is something that this is a story you just haven't happened to be on the interview when we've talked about it.
True. They've apparently done something similar in Ohio, so I think they are modeling a lot of this based pretty closely on what they've done down there. Hey, I think it's a great idea. Anything that they can do to help out bars and restaurants, which, as we just said, are really having a hard time during this crisis, shut down. A lot of them, no revenue whatsoever. I think it's a great thing. And hey, booze hounds want to know, right? They want to be able to get their favorite craft cocktails. I mean, that's a huge thing nowadays, custom craft cocktails.
Well, and I think it's going to continue to be important, even though we are seeing the opening of some bars and restaurants soon. If you're going to be at 50% capacity, there's multiple stories out there. I read one by Mickey Lyons, who was saying that there are folks that, they're not going to open until they see like 80% capacity because the numbers just don't work.
Right. Especially, I think if you don't have outdoor seating to augment that 50% capacity restriction, it's going to make it tough to make the numbers work, no doubt.
Yeah, because I heard with the opening of Street Beat, they're actually repaving the parking lot behind the 3rd Street bar over there, and they're turning that into a giant seating area because of all this stuff. So that's going to be really interesting to see.
One last thing before we let you go. Starline, one of the 2 remaining passenger ferry lines serving Mackinac Island from the mainland, is rolling out a new Mackinac Pirate Adventure tour to the resort island. Starting June 19th, you'll be able to take the pirate ship Good Fortune to the island 5 times per day during peak season. There will also be special nightly cruises under the Mackinac Bridge with bar service. Jer, I saw photos of this thing. We will post it on dailydetroit.com. The ship is outfitted to look just like an old pirate galleon with 3 masts and everything. Pretty crazy looking. Like I said, we'll put a photo on the website, but kind of neat idea, I guess.
Well, you kind of need to have a gimmick, everybody's got to have like a hook. It's interesting to see the development of these kind of things around Mackinac Island, which has just become a phenomenal hotspot the last few years. It's just visitorship has just like gone through the roof. It's just been the place to be. And I remember, Sven, now that I think about it, you used to work over there.
I did used to work. Well, before I get to that, I want to add that, they're getting a late start to the season up there this year. And I'm sure most of the business owners there are not expecting a great banner year for business, probably quite the opposite. So, anything that the businesses up there can do to try to, get people to come up and spend their money, I'm sure they're trying, they're going to be pulling out lots of ideas. Yes, I did used to work on Mackinac Island, and this story reminds me of the one Halloween year when I dressed up as Blackbeard, and I think I tied what was supposed to look like firecrackers in my beard because Blackbeard, that's who I went as, was reported to tie firecrackers in his beard and everything because he was such a feared pirate. That was a fun night.
I bet it was, sir. I bet it was. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening to Your Daily Detroit. A quick reminder that our podcast is people-powered by our members on Patreon who help us keep fiercely independent as independent media covering this great region. I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Sven Gustafsson. Until next time, take care of each other. We will get through this together.